More things of interest. It appears that over time, this trailer has had 1, 2, 3 different types of linoleum put down in it. I try to solve the mystery of these two plugs here. One, they go underneath the floor. One comes up here and feeds the outside light mounted on the far side, outside of the closet there by the door. And the other seems to come up here and feed this outside plug. These are both very much aftermarket affairs. This plug, I mean, it would be nice if they put in a box, but they just put the outlet directly there and wrapped a bunch of electrical tape around it. Weird. This floor, I can see screws now. Looks like there's one there, really buried. There was one here that I took out. There's another one there. Oops, sorry, right there that I need to take out. And one here is already out, or halfway out. And then there are a few, 1, 2, 3, 4 more screws across, maybe 5 screws across this member here. And I'm sure I'll find a few buried underneath there. And maybe 1 or 2 in the back somewhere. Plus these bolts, carriage bolt there, a carriage bolt there, and there is a carriage bolt here. I don't see 2, I just see the 1. But we'll carry on getting these screws out and see what we get. I picked up a bunch of patio slabs off Facebook Marketplace. These were being given away for free. Kind of weird collection of colors, but nonetheless, this is going to be a little parking pad, so I can put the Boler, park the Boler on here in the backyard, kind of get it off the driveway, out of the public eye, and just kind of into more private space, and allow me to work on it right close to the workshop. So I'm just using the power washer at the moment to go through and clean the dirt off. You can see that's how they are. That's how I want it to be. So I just want to get the dirt off these stones. I do expect to be crawling around underneath the trailer on these patio slabs, actually, to assess and disentangle the frame from the body. So I'll come back when this is all cleaned up. So there are the little parking pad all washed, just drying out now. As soon as that's dry, I can move the trailer back here. But I have my little workshop right there, and I'm expecting, once I have the frame out, I can just roll the frame into the shop and do a little bit of work on that. Have a nice, perfectly level floor. So that'll be important for doing frame work. So I'll bring you back when I've got the Boler on the pad. And we now have the Boler sitting on the little pad that we put in place. And I managed to get the rear window out. It was just held in with some rotted wood, which wasn't affixed to the window at all. The window was held within that wood frame, simply with caulking. Weird. So you can see I got rid of the water filler and a marker light and an outlet that was there. And I'm in the process now. I'm going to remove all of the bolts and all the external little things that are stuck on there, and the windows too, for that matter. 2 reasons. One, it'll make it lighter, and secondly, that all the holes need to be filled, sanded, and taken care of. So that's coming up. Well, I'm in removal mode now. So I got rid of the front bench, and I want to get rid of all these bolts that are sticking through here. I don't know what those bolts were for, but there are 2 rows of them here and then underneath. Looks like something was bolted on the front of the trailer at one point. But these bolts are all just miles long. I don't understand it. Every bolt and screw is 4 times longer than it needed to be. Anyway, I'll quit griping about that. So, bench is out. You'll notice this window's out. I took out the rear window as well. And just to give you an illustration of what it takes to get these out, I'll go around the back. So there is a piece of locking rubber that goes on the sill, on the weather strip rather, that sits in here. And you can just kind of use a screwdriver and pry it out, kind of like that. And you'll get a little loose end. Mine seemed to have been coated in silicone, so it was easy to remove. And it goes around. There's a seam. My seam was right here in the middle, so that would go around the whole weather strip, stop there. This piece comes around, stops there, so they meet there. And now that that little bead is out, I can then pry this a little bit out of the way like this and get the plexiglass window just to come out of this weather strip. Probably helps, this is kind of old and dry. And then once I have kind of from about here to about here out, the window just pops out. So it comes out very easily. And now to remove the weather strip is just pull it off. And you can see it's joined there. And that's it. Window out. Now I have a little ventilation. Whew, it's hot in there today. Continuing with the demolition of the Boler, the front and rear windows are out. The side windows are now both out. Those were rusty screws. We have a new window on order for the side here that is a slightly longer window. So it's going to be about 2 inches longer on this side, but it's also about 3 inches or 2 or 3 inches narrower. So I'm going to have to build up this little section down here and cut out that section there. These windows are fully opening. They're escape windows, so they'll pop up like an awning, but they also have the ability to put in a screen, or they have a screen and a blind. So it'll be a very nice window to have in there. And also a little more in keeping with the image of a Boler trailer rather than somebody's basement slider window. I've gotten rid of a bunch of marker lights. There's still a few little things, bits and bobs to come off. But I'm working right now on getting the bolts that hold the body onto the frame. And in fact, trying to get the body off of 2 frames. So what we're looking at here is the lower frame, or the new frame. This is actually the frame off a dumping trailer, so it actually pivots, held down by this bolt right here. And the old frame, you can see there, is sitting on top of this new frame. Well, kind of, sort of sitting on top of it. For example, that piece of wood there is supposed to be sitting underneath that flange. It's not. So yeah, this would require a lot of repair, even if I'm to keep it as is with the frames, with the 2 frames in place. So right now I'm looking at getting rid of that bolt, because that is in the way of another bolt that's holding this metal siding on. And I need to get that off so I can get at some other bolts back there. So just kind of a whole bunch of little, take this off to get at that, to take that off to get at this kind of thing. So lots of work going on in here. But you can see how this original frame, just that weld broke and then the rest was cut off. So I'm kind of debating whether or not we can restore that frame, but I won't know anything until everything is taken apart. So okay, so get the body off the old frame, get the old frame off the new frame, and we'll see what we're dealing with. That's today's project. I should point out that even before removing this bolt, it's loose. Crazy. So I need to remove this bolt that's holding this section to the frame. There was another one over here that I got out. But I only have 2 hands, and both of them need to be under the trailer at the same time, so I can't hold this in place. You can see that just wants to spin. So here's my little hack. Getting a 2x4 there, prevent the wrench from spinning into the fiberglass. Duct tape. I'll show you what I mean. Now, the duct tape is not providing any lateral strength here to keep the wrench from moving. That's the job of this 2x4. So as that nut spins on the underside, this will get pushed up against here and prevent it from turning. The duct tape is just to kind of keep the wrench from bouncing off the head of the bolt. And even as the bolt spins, I've got that kind of taped to the wrench so it won't pop up and get out of the grips of the wrench. Now I can go underneath and spin that thing away with the impact driver and get it off. Okay, yeah, that shook around a lot. Sorry about that. But trying to do that with one hand. But that got the nut off. So I can just pop that out and one bolt down. I think there's 2 more to go, maybe 4 more to go. Here's a little interesting remnant of some mud wasps. I don't know if you get them where you live, but these wasps make a little nest out of mud and lay their larvae in it, and away they go. And that's what's left over. Interesting. So that was tucked up underneath the trailer here. So the Boler trailer is now raised up on these jack stands supporting the frame. So we're lifted up off the ark quite a bit. What I'm now working on are some stands to support the body temporarily, so that I can lower the frame down. And then I have a long beam over there that I'm going to cut in half. That'll give me 2 poles to run underneath to support the frame, or support the body as the frame is taken out. That's the plan. So let me show you what I'm working on for this jacks that will support the body. So this is the basic form of it at the moment. A couple 2x4s mounted onto a pedestal. These guys are lap jointed together. I'm going to have some cross bracing going from here down on all 4 of these to kind of give it a little more lateral strength. And then there's a notch cut in that 2x4 post into which I can insert that bolt. And then by tightening this nut, I can get about 5 inches of travel to lift it even higher. What I'm working on now is the board that's going to sit on top of that. That board will be supporting the floor of the trailer. What I'm doing at the moment is just drilling a little hole in here that can accommodate that square head. So that's what I have set up over there on the drill press. I'm going to drill that out and show you when I'm done what I'm doing. So I now have a round hole in that beam, but of course I can't put a square peg in the round hole. So I'm going to be using my chisel to square that out. And there is our square head in what was the round hole. So what this allows me to do is, as pressure is applied, let me set this in here. So, as pressure is applied on the base of the trailer, this bolt will not be spinning because it's held captive in that square hole. Which means I'll be able to turn this nut and raise this jack to the height that I need. So I'm going to put on these cross braces and set this one in place and see what it looks like. And here is that new body support just mounted, just kind of set in place. I swapped out the bolt to get a slightly shorter bolt, but you can see now how that square head of the bolt slips into the body support bracket, and by tightening up that nut, I'm able to lift that right up, and hopefully we can lift the body right off the frame. So that means 3 more of these little supports. Continuing to work on removing all of the screws from the original frame. I keep coming across little screws that are buried. I had a screw right there that was buried underneath a little old strip of linoleum. I had to scratch that away to find the screw and then dig away at it because it was rusted in pretty heavily. And I think I have them all out on the back here with the exception of 2, possibly 3 screws. There's a screw down there in that corner that is rusted in. I can't get it out very easily. There's another screw down here in this corner, which also is rusted in. And I'm not sure if there's a screw back in here. I suspect there is, but these are very difficult to get to. Yeah, making it challenging. Anyway, I'll keep plugging away at it, and I'll let you know how I wind up getting rid of them. So, getting this closet out of my little Boler. Normally it's held in place with rivets, kind of like these rivets you see here. But somebody along the way decided to do away with rivets and instead has opted for staples. So we've got some very industrial style staples that come through here and get folded over here. And of course it's all been painted over and caulked over. So yeah, a whole bunch of staples along this edge, all up here by the door. Now, it looks to me like the staples have done a wonderful job of cinching these two pieces together. Maybe it was able to do much more than the rivets could do, but it does make it a pain now to try and get this closet out. And of course I can't lift the body off because there's a piece of wood in behind here that is catching on the frame. So the closet has to come out, which means the staples have to come out so I can get at that wood so I can lift the body off the trailer. It's a bit of a pain. That's the current challenge. So as I go to remove these staples, you can see that it's pretty badly rusted. And on the inside, it's usually heavily coated in paint, but the rust is just it's just permeated in there. So what I'm trying to do is bend up these little tabs. But what I find on just about every one is those tabs, they just break off. They're just rusted so badly. And then as I try to get underneath here and pry this away from the face of the fiberglass, what I'm finding is that these little guys break and the whole staple just falls apart. But there remains that little rusted pin that's going between the two surfaces, or the two pieces. So for those, what I'm doing is I'm just using a screwdriver and forcing it in there to pry these apart. I'll come back when I have this staple kind of either in a spot where I can pull it out or where it has disintegrated. And here you can see some of the dilemma that I'm in. On this side here, very poor light, I apologize, but in here there is the bottom end of the staple is broken off. The top end of the staple here, there is just a little bit, well, it bent up, but that would break off in a heartbeat. And as I try to pry up the staple on this side, you can see it's just splitting apart. That's gonna shatter. These pieces will get pulled off, and then I'll just pry it apart. Try to illustrate what I'm doing here. Just using a very thin screwdriver to start, getting in there a little bit, just applying a little bit of pressure. It's kind of hard to do that with one hand, but there we are. Now I've got them apart, and there is a remnant of a staple in there. I don't know if you can see it there, but when this closet comes right off, I'll be able to get at all of these little leftover bits of staple. So that's the process that I'm going through. I only have a few left. 1, 2, 3, maybe four more to do here. And then take out the rivets. And then this piece, the whole closet should come off. Okay, all the staples are now out of that side of the door, holding the closet in place. So I'm going to take out the remaining rivets. There's 2 or 3 of them up here on the latch, a couple down there at the bottom. Then of course I'll take off the door canopy while I'm at it, up here. And get rid of a couple rivets. So I got one in here, one here, a bunch all along here, and then a couple at the top and a couple there at the very top that are holding the closet rod. So I'll go after all those rivets. And then for that, I'm just using a drill. And I'm just taking off the head of the rivet. Just like this. There's the head of the rivet. I should be able to drive it out at this point. So I'll just take off the heads of those other ones. Those are about the best versions of the staples that I could get out of the closet. So yeah, they held initially, did okay, but they just rusted right out, and long term they're no good. Rivets would have been a much better option, aluminum rivets specifically. Anyway, the closet is now right out, so this is all good. There were a couple rivets up here holding in the closet rod. There's nothing on top. There should have been a rivet there, but that seemed to have broken off. And there's probably a rivet up there at one point, but that's broken off. So what I'm left with is this little gizmo here, this little piece of wood, 2 screws here that I could not get to get this piece of wood off so I can lift the body out. Oh, a lot of work just to get to that. Anyway, I'm gonna get those screws out and then the body can come right up. We finally have the body free. This piece, a little piece, scrap of wood there, was laminated or fiberglassed on here. I'm not too sure if that was an after idea or what. Anyway, it made a real pain trying to get, couldn't get the body off without removing that. So I'm now in a position where I can lift the body off. But given the state of the floor, propping it up by the floor, I don't think is going to be a workable solution. So instead, what I'm going to do is run a couple beams through the windows here, lengthwise, so right across here and out this window. I'll put 2 beams, one on each side, and then I'll have them, from the beams, I'll have some braces running up to support a beam across the ceiling here so that we can lift the entire structure by the length of the ceiling. That's the plan. And again, I just want to get it up high enough so I can get the 2 trailers, the original broken one out. Hopefully it will just be sitting on top of the new snowmobile trailer. And then we'll look at rebuilding trailers. So, all right, next up, building some scaffolds.